So who really decides what's going to work in the script? Is it agents? I don't think so. Is it script editors to some extent? Producers, directors? Yes. Or is it actually the audience? And if it is the audience, are we paying enough attention to them? Or are we mainly focused on what we want to see, what we want to do, what we think they should be given? But we must be allowed to ask, who is doing the teaching? Who are they teaching? What should they teach? How should they teach it? How should the trainers be trained? Are the trainers trained? Are they sufficiently trained? If you're paying money to go to a course, you have the right to ask that of the people who are teaching you. How many of you read feature film scripts at school? Anyone in the room? At school, 2, 3. Actually, that's the most I've ever come across. Teachers are not falling over themselves to get you to read, kids to read Finding Nemo. Instead, they give you stage plays which are much less interesting to kids today. You will all have read novels. You will all have read classic stage plays and studied them, written tedious essays on them. None of those are particularly helpful in training you to write in a visual medium. And the point of what I'm trying to say today is, if you are undergoing a training course, you need to make the most of it. You need not to rely on what is laid down for you as being the best you can get. There is more you can get. You need to be very proactive about it. Actually, I think the real blame should be laid at the industry. I think the industry has far too little influence and far too little interest in being involved in the training. I think it's the industry, not the academics, actually, who are to blame. They should determine the validation and accreditation criteria, not the academics. What other industry allows academics, excuse me for being rude, some of whom fail to work adequately in that industry, to determine the criteria for training? For what's taught and how it's taught. You know, if you're going to be a doctor, an engineer, an architect, it is doctors, engineers and architects who determine what qualifications you get. Not the case with film and television. And maybe because scriptwriting is such a freelance kind of fragmented activity that they can't even see how they can have that influence. And that may be true, it may not be possible. What I'm saying may not actually be possible. But the parallel with doctors is interesting, because if you qualify as a doctor, or if you decide to go train as a doctor, you know roughly, if I get my qualification, I know that I'm going to have to work, in order to get it, 50 hours a week. I'm going to have to work 12 to 15 hours a day. I'm going to have to work 6 days a week, and I'm going to have, if I'm lucky, 2 weeks holiday. And at the end of it, I might earn £30,000, £35,000 a year, and maybe 3, 4, 5 years later, when I've gained a speciality and I've got, if you like, a postgraduate qualification, for £60,000. Now, how many scriptwriters are prepared to work 50 weeks a year, 12 to 15 hours a day, 7 years? I've never met one who was prepared to do that. It's a problem. It's very easy to think writing is easy, and actually it's very difficult to write well. In 40 years of working with writers, I've found them almost always, in a vast number of cases, to be very diligent, very hard-working, but never with that passionate commitment that a doctor has to have. There are expectations people have which are too facile, too easy. I can do joined-up letters, ergo I can write. Where's the best training? It's actually by doing it. It's not by studying it, it's by doing it. It's by writing scripts which are hacked around by editors, sometimes beneficially, sometimes not. Directors have to make changes, actors can't read some of the lines, and you learn more from doing that than you'll ever do from sitting at your typewriter, tapping away or going to lectures. And therefore we need to provide writers with much greater access to the industry than a classroom.